Hello, Kim.
Hello,
Nice
Laura.
to see you again today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, welcome to our meeting. And I will start by giving a short introduction about myself and my business, and then we'll introduce you and your business, and we'll dig into our conversation and the questions I have for you. So I'm Laura Aziz. I am the founder of Meva Solutions, a coaching and consulting business. And I've been in business for 5 years. I coached 500 individuals from all walks of life and about 3,000 coaching sessions. Prior to coaching, I did work in health information technology, managing mega projects, and I loved actually managing projects. In project management and change management was a great 2 decades of experience. Took me around the world. And Kim, you are a principal. You are
Currently,
at the helm of a school with teachers, administrators, students, their parents, obviously. But you are also a speaker, an author, a consultant. You've been through a lot. I mean, you have established your business and you are also working in a very busy, very demanding job. Do you want to add anything about you and then how you are dealing with all these things in your life?
Sure. Currently, I am a school principal, like you said, and I've been in the field of education for over 30 years. I started as a teacher, and I've been an academic coach, assistant principal, and currently I'm a principal. And like you said, I lead a large group of people on a daily basis, enjoy it immensely, but I am also working on my business and getting it out there because the basis of all the work I've done throughout the years is just really enjoying the heart of what I do is empowering others. And I've done so in the past through formal education processes. And now I would love to do that through the coaching consulting realm and speaking. So,
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I believe your company is focused on heart-centered leadership and people first, right? That's
correct.
your tagline, your or even your core values.
Absolutely. I learned as a school leader, that was one of my biggest first lessons as a school leader was truly how to lead the adults. I knew as a teacher how to lead children in my classroom, but it was very similar. I just upped that bar to adults and lead with my heart, change the culture and climate of my organization and I really center on the people because people are the most valuable asset, I believe, in any organization.
Yeah,
So, and if I wanted my children to be happy, my adults had to be happy.
that's beautiful. Yeah, that's really nicely said. I know you wrote a book. Is it
Yeah.
is it close by? Is it handy?
Yes, it's right here. It is
Ah,
called
and
You
what's
Control You.
You Control You? Wow.
Yes. And I can tell you a little bit. The title
Yeah.
did come from my conversations with students in my office. It started there. And we just talk about when they would encounter situations with other people and they come in and need to be counseled. And I said, who do you control?
Yeah.
And they'd look around and I said, who do you control in your life? And they would point then at themselves. And I said,
Wow.
yes, the only person you really can control is yourself. So how do you do that? And then we would talk about strategies. So that's where it started. But then I used the concept with adults as well in my work as a school leader.
Yeah.
And
That's
then,
beautiful. I love it. First, you're like coaching the kids. I know you're at elementary school, so some
yes,
are
and middle
and
and
middle.
middle
Oh,
school.
okay, and middle. So they are starting to shape their personality and
Yeah.
how they interact. I see that in my coaching practice all the time, where people complain about others, their peers or their boss or
Mhm.
the general culture in the company. And really, the only thing we can control is ourselves, like the famous say, like between the stimulus and the response, there is a
Mhm.
distance, and this
Mhm.
distance is your choice, your ability to make a decision, your willpower and your agency on to decide how you want to respond.
Absolutely.
That's so
Absolutely.
beautiful.
It is. It is. We have a lot of control.
Yes. Do you want to say anything more about You Control You? Like how,
Yes.
you
I
applied it in personal life or what else it
absolutely.
means to you?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I wrote the book in 2022, published it in 23, but in 2022 I went through a divorce. So I was going through a personal situation of my own that was very difficult, and I was still a school leader at the time, but going through a personal tragedy and not handling it very well at the time because it was devastating. So I put all my emotions into the book. And base the book, the chapters are written in habits that I used and learned about over the last few years around 2022. I started in like 2019, just searching for answers. How do I become more positive? How do I become have more control in my life and feel more in control? And I just ran across other self-help gurus and ideas and habits that I started implementing as part of a morning routine. Um, and other routines throughout the day. But then I wrote the book where I would out, the book is my personal story and transformation, but then it's laid out in chapters so people could go to a chapter for a resource or a strategy so that they could start implementing that resource right away if they needed to.
That's beautiful. I know you told me you have 15 chapters in the book. So each chapter kind of introduce a concept and a tool, maybe. Is this
Correct. But it
the
also outlines, like I start with the beginning of my transformation, my story of when I kind of hit, I call it rock bottom,
yeah.
where I felt my life was falling apart as I knew it. And then I start talking about the habit strategies. And then towards the end of the book, it gets more into how do you maintain these habits and how do you truly keep that positive, empowered life that we all want to live.
Yeah.
Um, and so it ends in a few chapters that talk about just the maintenance of that.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And would you envision your private business, consulting business, or if there is some coaching done, to be more geared towards women, or you're open to working with men and women?
I would be open to working with anyone. I have worked with men and women over the years on individual basis and group speaking formats that I have done. And I found that, and even though my book is based on a divorce that I went through, it's a transformation in my life, going from one point that this is how I knew myself, and then things changed in my life. How do I react to that? And then who am I now?
Yeah.
And I feel that can apply to not just divorce, but it could apply to if you were going through an illness in your life or any major transformation,
Yeah.
in
Transitions. I think, yeah,
transition.
many people in the in life today, this
Yes.
time, first, obviously approaching the new year,
Mhm.
people tend to kind of take a stand and say, okay, 2025 is leaving. How will I be in 2026, or what
Yes.
I want to accomplish in 2026? But also with the advent of AI and some of the economic upheavals, some people have lost their jobs and
Hmm.
others are afraid of losing their jobs. So that's another transition, like in career, that can
Absolutely.
trigger, a need to take a deeper look into ourselves,
Yes. Yes.
redefine, yeah, who we want to be. How,
Right. And I
yeah,
think that's an important time, like, for example, losing your job or the fear of losing your job, and just being able to have an empowered mind that you can stay positive through that situation and not because when we do give into the negative emotions, et cetera, it can really, take control of us and our
yeah,
lives and even our actions and really keeping that positive mindset. I know it's hard because
I
some
know,
people have said to
yeah,
me, you can't always be positive or you can't always be happy, which is true. However, we have a choice at any time or moment to choose
yeah.
either one. And we know that the positive choice can empower us, that can help
Right.
us move
I
forward.
like the word you used, empowered mind. I heard many other descriptions. This is the first time to hear
Okay.
this combination of empowered mind. And
Hmm.
and also it reminds us that we make the decision, like, because people will say yes, and you may feel sometimes like I'm not really seeing it positive at all at this point, but it's our ability to change the channel. Like,
Hmm.
can I bring some positivity? One
Absolutely.
of the people that I like to listen to their presentations, his name is Bob Proctor. He
Oh, I
writes a lot.
love Bob Proctor.
Yeah, writes a lot about mind control and the subconscious.
Yes.
And he once gave a very simple. He said, like, we all go through times and we are in a bad mood, but
Mhm.
is there a song that you like? Can you turn on that song and it will change your mood? So thinking
Absolutely.
about simple things, like
Simple.
thinking of something good, listening to a music that you
Absolutely.
like. And I'm sure your book has lots of ideas. So if someone is going through some tough time, your book can help.
Absolutely. And I think you hit it right perfectly when you said simple. A lot of the ideas in the book are very simple,
Yeah,
but sometimes they're so simple that we don't think of them as
yeah,
helping us. But I think it's the maintaining it and the
yeah,
consistency, the persistence
yeah,
that we need to have with these habits that
yeah.
will help us over time. And I love that you brought up Bob Proctor because he is in actually my bibliography.
Ah,
There were a lot of books I read early on that he suggested. It was on a podcast by Lewis Howes. But when he was alive still, he mentioned some really key books that helped him in his thinking.
yeah,
And so I
yeah.
purchased a lot of those to help me in my own thinking.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I really like his teaching a lot.
I did too. I do
They
too.
are old but classic at this point.
Yeah,
We can say like yes, they are. Some will say, oh, this is dated, not current, but they
yeah,
are classics. I think
they are.
they are the foundation for many of the self-help books and
Yes,
other personal empowerment and personal development
I
books.
agree. There were many classics, and I have a lot of them in my bibliography, like from the 1940s
Yeah,
and books that were written that I still read and I reread to this day.
I love that. We're aligned on this for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I listen to every now and then, I kind of refresh my mind on these basic philosophies, Bob Proctor and Jim Rohn, and few of
Yes.
these folks who are like the fathers of
Yes,
personal development, really,
I
in many
agree.
ways. Yeah,
I
beautiful.
agree. Yes.
Okay, so we learn from your book and your personal experience how to thrive. Like some of the things we are talking about here is like how to empower ourselves, how to pull ourselves out of being in a hard spot. And we need these all the time. We need it today, we need it as we face challenges, but we also need it as we deal with AI and generative AI. So AI can be a blessing and it can be a curse, like it can be a blessing in terms of helping us do things faster,
Mhm.
giving us more ideas and wider scope. But it can be a challenge because we are learning new technology and it's changing every day.
Yes.
The fear of missing out or fear of being left behind, like
Mm,
I read an article that people in corporate America, not just individuals, like feel like they are stressed out, and AI is one of the reasons because things are always changing. There is no like status quo, there is no
mhm,
stability. What
mhm.
what would you say about AI, and what's your personal impression about it?
Sure. Well, as you were just talking, what I kept thinking in my head was you control you.
Yeah,
So we can't get stressed out about all these new things coming out around us or
yeah,
worry that we're going to miss out because truly we have to control ourselves, right? But I was also thinking as you were talking, through all of these changes and because it's going to keep changing and evolving and it's a great tool in many ways. But we also have to, and that's what a lot of my work in my book talks about, is getting into your subconscious, like you mentioned, subconscious mind, because we know intrinsically, we know and we can feel what's right and what's wrong, or what feels right to us or what doesn't feel right. And you
yeah,
have to go with that. You have to know your inner being and know how much of this should I use, how much of this aligns with how I think. So I guess that would be my first piece of advice is, to use that inner judgment when you're
mhm,
using a tool
mhm,
in any tool, but especially I think AI with its advancements.
yeah,
Um, does that, it's going to give you this whole, depending on what you ask for, but it can give you so much information. And
yeah.
just like when you Google anything, I love Googling things. I don't even know if that's the right term, but that's what I say.
Always,
Google
always,
it.
yeah. It
I even told
first
my,
thing you do is to Google. It
yeah,
used to be first thing to Google. Now people go to
yeah.
ChatGPT.
Yeah. I still use the term Google, but
Yeah.
where you just, you Google something, but whether it's something health related about for your own interests but you have to take your own intrinsic
Yeah.
beliefs and your subconscious, that does
Mhm.
that make sense to me? Does that sound
Yeah.
right? And we
Yeah.
have to use that judgment. This is
Right.
technology.
Mhm. Yep.
I think,
So it needs validation. Whatever output you get from
yeah,
any AI tool, you have to have a process of validation. So you can either validate it yourself, like if you're a
yeah,
subject matter expert in
sure,
that domain, you can read and say, does this make sense?
sure.
There is another technique that I also use to make sure I'm getting the best is to take an output from one tool and put it
Mhm.
in another tool and say, like, tell me if this
Makes sense.
is solid information, or
Yes.
list some of the references, like show
Yeah.
me the evidence.
Beautiful.
So not rely on just one tool, and because we know the tool was fed by information from the
Right.
internet.
Where'd it
So,
come from?
yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
show me the sources. Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
agree with that 100%. Absolutely. Looking for the validation is key too.
Yep.
Yes. And so using your inner voice, your inner judgment, using the validation technique. And then well, because a lot of my business, whether I'm in education or I'm working on my own personal business, it all centers around people. And I just think that having that people-centered focus when I'm using AI is important. Because is it something aligning to, I, I, well, let me rephrase that. Because AI is a technology tool and we are human beings. AI is very smart, obviously, but I don't think it can replace the human being
Yep.
with all of our emotions and
Yep.
knowing intricacies of working with another human being. So, I think that people aspect, I call it, is something to consider too when you're
Yep.
using it as a resource.
So it's the human plus the AI, like it's not either or. Like
Right,
when you hear, at least at this time, and I think for a long time to come, it's AI is not going to replace a teacher. you
right,
know, like you
right,
can get
right.
some information, but
Sure.
the teacher needs to explain it, give the case studies, give the examples.
Mm-hmm.
There may be some jobs that may be eliminated because they are very, straightforward or
Yes,
very repetitive,
sure.
but the general majority of jobs, you need the human amplified. So it's an amplifying and optimizing opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Like we call it, other ways of describing it is the AI is a team member.
Mm-hmm.
It has some capabilities of, say, crunching data faster or
Sure.
pulling information from multiple sources faster.
I agree.
But
And
yeah,
when you were bringing up teachers, like you can't replace a teacher, but it's definitely something that we should take advantage of. And I am in education right now, and we do talk about AI, and
yeah,
many teachers' faces will kind of go down when you talk about AI because they think kids will, write their papers for them, etc.
yeah,
But truly, when you add in that human element, like what does this information mean to you as a
yeah.
person, or however, like if it was used in a student format,
Mhm.
you can't replace that for sure. But
Yeah.
we'd be foolish not to use it in many cases. One thing, and I won't say the school district I work in
Mhm.
right now, but when we did COVID and we were home and we were
Mhm.
virtual, we were using a lot of tools online, which were wonderful. But then I feel like we missed an opportunity because when we came back to the classroom, we went back to the
Back.
way,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yes, we
Back to the
didn't
old
take.
ways of doing things.
Yes, pretty much
Ah,
so. I mean, we still use smart boards and
yeah. Yes, yes, yeah.
but I think we can maximize our capacity as like
Mhm.
teachers, even in education, if we
Yeah,
use the tools for certain things, and then
right.
we as teachers can hone in on where the kids actually need the support, you know?
Yeah, there could be, I would think, now that we're talking about it, there could be some automation in communication, in
Sure.
keeping the family involved. For example,
Oh,
I know when
absolutely.
my son was in middle school, we were in Kansas City in Overland Park, and Overland Park has one of the very top rated, at least at the time, school district. And the teacher at that time had the ability to every day through the phone system send me a message about
Okay.
the homework, whatever,
Sure.
they, and I was like fascinated because in
It is
Chicago,
wonderful.
before we relocated temporarily to Kansas City, that system was not there. And even when we returned back to Chicago in the North Shore, this system was not there. There was no time other than in that school district that back then, I mean, that's a long time ago,
Mhm.
but I still remember it because that ability to communicate directly with the parents is
Sure.
fascinating. I mean,
It
it's
is.
great. You know what's going on.
It is. It is.
And you can
Absolutely.
intervene faster. Like if my son
Yes.
would like repetitively say, don't do the homework or
Hmm.
whatever, he was he sometimes forget the book, in school and not, I would
Yes.
know that, so I would know that quickly and try to figure out a way to help
Yes.
him not to forget
Sure.
the
Those
book
are
or an
advantages.
assignment or something like that. Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
amazing.
Mhm.
What would you recommend for teachers or people or even parents, with the younger kids? I know you said you have middle school as well, so that kind of goes till the age of 14 almost, right? 14,
Yep.
15?
For 14.
Yeah. What would you recommend they would do with AI? Like what advice would you give them?
Well, I think that AI would be wonderful for students to use within their research. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But teaching them, just like when we grew up, I won't say my age on
Don't.
camera, but but I remember using the index files in the library where you'd have to
Yeah.
look at the cards, right? But so it's a lot more efficient nowadays, and they could access a lot more information. But then, of course, teaching them, like you said, is how do you verify your resources, which you have to do anyway,
Yeah.
is making sure you're using reputable. But I think definitely, but it's something that we're going to have to teach teachers how to
Yeah.
use too, but definitely having kids use it as a resource for information.
I love it.
It's there. Why would we not
Yeah.
use it? I compare, and this is very simplistic comparison. It's nothing like it, but I remember when the first calculator came out
Yeah.
when I was a child, and it was really
Yeah.
big.
Right, right. Yeah.
And there's so many teachers that still to this day, oh, kids can't use a calculator. Well, of
Yes.
course, when they're little, you teach them how to compute and all their operations and their numbers. And
Yes.
uh, but a calculator is a tool when you get into algebra, and you need to be able to apply then different
Yeah.
higher level concepts. So I can see
Yeah.
AI, being like, where we can apply higher level thinking.
Mhm. Yep, I like that. I mean, I have my daughter, my granddaughter is going to be 12 very soon. And I feel like that's the age where she needs to introduce herself and be savvy about AI.
Sure. Absolutely. But I think, well, and this is not a meeting about school systems and what we teach, but I also think social media is another thing, right? Where we have to teach kids how to use all of these tools appropriately. And it's hard because to put that
Yeah.
all on the schools, but kids have all these things, they have access to them nowadays. And
Yeah.
yeah, so we all
It is
have to,
our responsibility, I think, as
yeah.
adults,
Hmm.
parents, grandparents, and educators
Sure.
to be able to put some boundaries around using advanced technology.
Yes.
I think at least in middle school,
Sure.
that's a good age for them to start to learn
It is.
how to master some of these skills without becoming lazy, without putting their brains
Right.
on autopilot. Like use it
Right.
as a supportive tool, not to take
Yes.
over your life.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
we can't be fearful of these things. They're here to help us. And I think again, based on my book again, but that positive versus negative outlook,
Yeah.
there's more positive. I think there's more advantages,
Mhm.
but we always think about the fearful things and the things
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
might steer
Beautiful.
us wrong. Yeah.
I love the discussion. We can talk forever about it,
Yes, we could.
but we're getting close from our the end of our time.
Okay.
How do you see your the future of your consulting career and the book? What's your vision? What do you want to do with that?
Sure. Well, I have it's becoming more crystal clear now, but I would love to retire. I've been in education over 30 years and I have loved what I've done. But now I feel I want to push the empowering others, creating that empowered mind concept on a higher level and really reach audiences around the world. I would love to be a speaker, definitely an empowerment speaker, and then along with that, do large group coaching formats, and even work with leaders because I have worked with leaders in the education industry, and because I feel whether you're an individual or a leader, whoever you are in your life, it's just empowerment is
Mm,
key. We have to empower ourselves to be our best.
absolutely. So before we close, I'd like you to show the book one more time
Okay.
and tell people how to find it
Sure. Right
and how
now,
to reach you also for
okay,
potential speaking engagements or
sure.
consulting.
I self-publish. It's on Amazon, so you can find it on Amazon. And best usually, it seems it comes up with my name, Kim Malacara.
Okay.
Okay, and so if you Google that on Google on Amazon,
Mhm.
but then you can reach me. Also, I have a website, kimmalacara.com, and I have my contact information there. But my email is peoplefirstleadershipcoach@gmail.
Okay.
People First Leadership Coach. But I also will have that information,
Mhm.
Laura. I have a gift that I'm going to give you for the audience on
Yes. Thank you.
just tools for my chapter on positive thinking
Yeah.
and just three really key steps that people can start implementing right away to become a more positive, empowered thinker. And so I'll put my contact information at the bottom of that as well.
That is beautiful. So your website is where the all the information is, and they can also
Yes.
reach you on LinkedIn. You are on LinkedIn
And I
if
am on
they want to
LinkedIn, correct.
connect with you and get to know you and
I would
ask you
love to.
questions.
Sure. I would love to
Okay.
work with people.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the discussion,
Thank you. I
and
did as
I
well.
wish you all the best with your business. And I'm sure we're gonna connect again for more talk about students and leadership and AI.
I would love that. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
thank you.
Thank you to your
Bye
audience as
bye.
well.
Thank you.
Bye.